Good Shabbos. This is this week's Parshas Likutei Torah is on page 152, Parshas Pinchas. This mimer, this Shiur, is the Ilu Nishmas Menachem ben Arav Yitzchak Likutei Torah Balak. It says this mimer is on the pasuk is Carboni Lachmi. It's explanation on the mimer, explanation on the pasuk, and it's written la'abdo l'shimra, that I serve and I guard. And when a person does, he makes it on in Gan Eden, that he brings down what he does. He brings down godliness, and the Ein Sof itself is illuminated within the Gan Eden. It occurs when the tzaddikim are in Gan Eden, they enjoy the Shekhinah of Hashem, the lights of Hashem, and so this is what we're having, that the light is being revealed in Gan Eden itself. This is the element we're talking about. What's occurring over there when we're in Gan Eden itself, and what is it that lights that are being illuminated? It's explained b'Yud Niva Olam Haba, that the letter Yud, you know that Hashem Havaya created the world, and it's created everything. And now we're dealing with the Yud it's created Olam Haba. That what does mean Yud? That when we have idea of Tzimtzum, this contraction, era nekuda ketana she'ein safe b'yichur. So you have this contraction that we know that the Yud, obviously it's a smaller letter, and this allows us to understand that this contraction and this understanding of this light, the gazing of the light, that it comes from a small point. She'ein safe, that it has no end. That has no purpose and no beginning and no. It's not. We're not talking about. It's like a circle that we can understand that there's no beginning to a circle, no end to a circle. And this is how that we cannot comprehend what that means, because as the pasuk says, that we can't comprehend how there is no who. It's not where we can't comprehend where this light starts from. And it's not something that especially us could understand. But within creation there is this enjoyment, this tainug of the souls, and that they enjoy from the results of this light, from the ziv, which is a spark. It's a light. It's more than a spark, but it's the ray of light that is coming from the Shekhinah. So it's not the Shekhinah itself, because we would be completely bottled for that, but we know that it exists, and this is the ray that is emanating from that, and this is that is what the neshamas are enjoying. And this, as the analogy happens, when we see, for example, the light, you can't look directly into the sun, or you can't look directly at a big fire, like a bonfire. You can only extrapolate from that, or we'll see from the result of that. We can't be looking directly at it, because of the danger that could occur from looking directly at these big lights. And so this is where this analogy that we have, this is where we can start trying to understand what we're talking about with the Ein Sof. And the pasuk continues from Tehillim. It's a capital Tehillim that most of you guys are saying. It's from Tehillim, capital Yud Ches, pasuk Yud Beis. Yoshes Choshech Sisrei. So this darkness that's hidden, that we have, certainly when we have contraction, you're starting to hide things in that contraction, and this lands up into that small nekuda ktan. When dealing with Olam Haba, specifically this revelation of this light, that revelation that I can understand, and now I can start to comprehend and understand and enjoy this. So this, the future world, that was created on judgment. that's explained in certain Sfarim. She'elam hazinema ba elam chesed yiban. So now the future world, it was created with chesed. Chesed it was built. Mashkin elam haba hu midas adin. So this world, Hashem has great Rahmanas, because if you didn't have the Rahmanas, we wouldn't be existing as it is. He's already tried to destroy it before. Before the world itself was created, it was the Shvisa Kelim, and then you had with the Mabul itself, that the world was other situations much later, like it's in specific places that were destroyed, like in Avram, with times of Avram Avinu, and you have later on, there's the different places you see certain destructions that occur in this world, but yet the entire world itself is still existing because of a certain chesed. But in the future world, it doesn't work in chesed, it works on din. So when you have suffering that does exist in this world, like you had recent tragedies in different parts of the world, floods or fires, things like that happens in specific places, not the entire world itself. When you have certain sufferings that do occur, that's it's called Yisurim Shel Hava. How could it be someone suffering through love, b'chesed and kindness? Yisurim Maraki, Yisurim Ha'azeh Ibu Mammon. For example, somebody loses money, you know, give etzba, cuts a finger. In Arach Gabi Yisurim Gehenim, you can't compare some suffering that occurs into this world to the suffering of Gehenim. Because it's only 1/60th of what occurs. And even though if you have somebody who could go to Gehenna in the next world, so but you take what the Yisurim that he had in this world, and you make it makes it easier for them. This is the chesed. So whatever suffering, this is suffering that does occur into this world, it takes away from suffering that you have in the future completely. But the Olam Haba you don't have, it's Gehenna, because there it's built on Midas Adin. Whereas this world is all you can see from Chesed, from when you're born and how this world existed, you're giving to the child. The Rasha, you're going to complete the evilness for the evil one in that sense. But in Olam Haba, where you have this understanding, that the tzaddikim are enjoying this revelation of it, they're enjoying it, this light, even though you have this grus and this contraction of the lights. This is to show the strength, this strength, this malchus that exists in this, and you're of the rulership of the Eibishter, and the Shechina that we see, that his emanating light that we see from there, this is that light that you see is Gvura. And this is what you see, one contraction to another. Malachim, neshamas, you have angels there, you have neshamas over there. No, not one is dimensioning, not one is comparing to his friend. Like for example, you have Macham he's with Ahava, love. When Gabriel is fear, specifically, and there's no Ahava, and the Ahava is Michal Behava, like Ahava's Cheres Be'ofen, but the love within Michal and Gabriel completely different. For him, Shekulam Mekablim Ba'erin, but both receive from the Erin. They're both getting it from the same place. Like this Kayach of the Neshama, that we see that when you have a Neshama, that it influences every single body part that we have. The Neshama, that Atzuma Ein Ba'it Chakus, the Neshama itself is no separate parts, but you have the neshama, the same neshama that's in your head is also in your finger. Like seeing, specifically the Alter Rebbe brings here for seeing. Mekabel ha'ayin v'koyach ha'shmiya mekabel ha'oz, and just like seeing the same koyach that you have for hearing. But the eye does not receive, it only receives its own part. It doesn't receive the koyach of the eye, it does not receive the koyach for the finger, that I need to see the power for each one has its own thing. Because it only receives the power of seeing. It can't see with that's the vessel that I have. eyes are only for seeing. Bli shum seichel saga, it can't have any intellect in itself. It just has to be the power of vision. The power of thinking, thought, and understanding, that you'll see, that's in the brain itself and brain only. And only in the power of hearing is only for the ears. Not one thing can be for the other. This week we had the Yahrzeit on Chav Tammuz of Pinya Korf. And Pinya Korf, I heard of a story from him of Rabbi Butman once. Came to Yechidus, Mullah Butman, I believe, came to Yechidus to the Rebbe, and at that time there was only 2 minyanim that he could daven at. And the one was too early for him, one was too late. So he said, when should he be learning Chassidus? He's going to be with Chassidus. So the Rebbe said to him to learn Chassidus at night. So he said, but at night I can't because my head is not so clear as you can't learn at night. So the Rebbe told him to learn with his heart. So even when we daven in Shmona Esrei, you see also that we ask the Eibishter to open up the Torah into our hearts. Sometimes that's one place that you also see that even though the heart doesn't think, the heart we have to influence our hearts as well with full of Torah and full of inspiration as well. So let's carry on base. But even all the contractions that we have from one level to the next, it has 2 starts. There's makif and pnimi. What do I mean makif? Makif is surrounding and pnimi is internal. Makif, makif is protecting everything doesn't come from the outside inside into the vessels. It's just in clothing for it. Because it has no thought. You can't comprehend it. And the starting of once you start the surrounding outside parts of the keli, the vessel, then you will be able to internalize it as well. But internally, you can have it internally start a little bit comes from makif, and in order to become pnimi. So you can see that people, Hasidim, be very careful what our levush is, what externally as well, and hopefully that will have you have a certain machlekes, whether it's a fake it till you make it approach, whether externally that we have to be who we are. That's why in yeshiva we make a big effort to train as Hasidim, hats and jackets, things like that, because externally it has an effect. And even though maybe I might not be holding where I should be right now, but it has an effect. We can see for makif it is a very important. This is the power to for makif it's not going internally, but it allows it, as the Alter Rebbe says, and nimshach shenichnas liat pnimi. In order to be a pnimi is alien nasa betchila makif latachton. In order you have to have a makif down here specifically. And afterwards you bring down from this recognition in order to be a pnimi as well. This is how it is in all parts of Shtashlis. From one recognition to Zah, which is a Keli, Zer Anpin, Mizah, etc. It goes on and on and on. So we have external, the external and to internal. And so we have thought, speech, for example, to thought. When a person has his thought, he can affect lachnis. When he has not everything that you have in thought can I express it. Only a part of my expression in speech of my thought is being expressed in speech, and that is why intellectually you have to, where does it get expressed is into our attribute, into midas. And the attributes, when we have his bonus, when we contemplate and meditate in davening, you cannot have you can't have ispalus alev. And that is the working. When you're working in your heart, we have at we have different way that we have to do it at different times. And that is not the time for it right now. Because right now we're just in contemplation. We're using a so you can only have to shorten this koyach, this energy that we have to understand and to contemplate. So now we have this. Starts bringing a certain concept here called igulim. The yeshir igulim is literal translation is circles, but when you have koyach that comes down in different ways, you can have direct koyach, but the keli has to have it, or the koyach is coming down in a circle, and then there's also within the circle there's also a straight line. So immediately you'll have these igulim, the parts of yeshir. This parts of this face that receives, just like one face. When you have a face-to-face conversation, you're having one talking to the other, and now you have this as the koyach that comes down into different parts as the effect. You have one face has to communicate with the other and has the influence that it has on the other parts of Shubachin's ha'adam, like a person. This is the only analogies that we're talking about. The power of vision in the eye, as we mentioned before, and the 248 limbs and bodies in the different parts of the body. And this is how you have regardless. This is how the stage of life, of birth, when the person is the pregnancy and the baby has to take milk and different stage and how it grows. But when that's what circles. But that's what straight lines. There's different stages that we have and stages in life, and just like stages in koyach as well. But when it deals with the igulim, which is circles, you have everything's the same. There's no difference. It's a straight line. You have stages. And generally, this influence that we have from thought, called Dargan, from the highest levels, which we called Ma, I mean the name of Shem, Ma and Ban. So we mentioned before, remember, Ma is one of the Shem, the name of Hashem in full. That's how you write it. Yud is Yud Vav Dalet, and how the names change. And so we have that how from one influence of one version of how Shem Havai is spelt out in full, from Ma to Ban, Shebechinis Shem Humakiv Legabe Ban.